We can't hear you, Empress.
Islam? Wow.
Islam, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish, American, Al-Moroccan heirs, who are the heirs to all lands, all natural resources, and all commerce universally. There is no place in the universe or outside of the universe that anyone can go that we are not the heirs to. And for that, we are grateful. Okay, let's just get on into what we have today. I'm so excited. So let me just say a couple of things first about, I'll roll them up on the screen. All Moors collectively are the Christ mass. In other words, a mass of Christ, a large number of Christ, of Saviors. Today, we gratefully receive the gift given to us, the Christ Mass, from our ancestors. We are the reason for the season. That's what all the red and green is all about. It's about the heirs. The National Fast is December 13th, 14th, and 15th in honor of the rebirth and grand rising of our sovereign nation and government, and in honor of the December 14th, 1441 on the moon calendar and 2020 on the Greco-Roman calendar, new moon. On December 14th, there will be the new moon. This water-only national fast is also in anticipation of the December 21st winter solstice and the universal planetary alignment known as the Great Conjunction, whereby Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto will call all of the cosmos into their properly aligned placement in celebration of our grand rising. We are affirming this celebration by fasting together, meditating as one nation, and aligning our chakras with the cosmos so that the ancient ancestral energy that is being sent directly to us is received for our continued growth and for the uplifting of fallen humanity. During this time, heirs are encouraged to fast at the level of your overstanding and according to that which your higher self has suggested is right for you. Additionally, heirs are encouraged to go to natural ancient sites in the territories and breathe in the air daily, as the energy in the atmosphere right now is coated with electromagnetic frequencies that match the codes within our ancient matrilineal genometric system and bloodline. This coding, along with the planetary alignments at this time, have enjoined with us to give us the keys that unlock our vast estate by way of the Akashic records, and that's record, and through one another as we continue to unify. The recording, which means to cord or connect again, is the activation of our ancient connection with our ancestors and all of the information that they know and have to give to us. This recording or reconnecting and activation is ongoing and will continue from now forward and well beyond into the years to come. This is the grand rising of the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish, American, Al-Moroccan heir. Islam. Let's see. Let me just make sure that we clear anything that is not that it should be in here. Just one moment. Okay, please ignore that was placed in the chat. It is not true. that was an interloper. So we are going to, so here's the thing. The above is written in ancient English, which is the oldest language on earth. I know people some do not believe that ancient English, not corporate English, ancient English is the oldest language on earth. No matter where you go on earth, this is the one language.
It's your fucking bullshit made up language, Pauline. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing, and you know it. It's absolutely.
Just a moment. It is the one language that all can speak, and we will now share our research on this matter. So when we first started doing this, and the ancestors showed us ancient English as our national language, because unbeknownst to many, you cannot be a nation by any guidelines if you don't have a language that you share. That is not the corporate. You have to have a language of your own in order that you all can speak and all can understand. That's different from any corporate languages. And the reason for that is so that when you speak, your intention goes forth. And this is universally known, that every nation must have their own language in order to communicate with one another and in order to be considered a government and a nation. And we have that. It is ancient English. Now, know that all other languages come from ancient English. So when you speak of Moorish, Latin, and Arabic, and all of those other languages that people say, well, isn't that ours? Yes, you're correct. Those are our national languages too. All root words come from the root, which is the Phoenician, which is us, all of us. So what we did to all, yes, the culture is in the language, Empress, yes. And so that's another reason why, in order for you to be considered a nation or a government, you must have your own language. And so the reason why it's important for us to know that the root words were given by us is because all we did was give all of our other creation and all of our other nations a root word, and then they put whatever prefixes and suffixes they wanted to put in order that their intentions when they spoke became what the word is. That's why all of the languages are similar in one way or another. And so when I write in ancient English. Now, let me tell you first, before we go on, that I was doing some research, and this is going to support what we're saying. I was doing some research, and when we first started writing in ancient English, people were saying, well, what about Arabic, and what about all of these other languages? What about them? And I say that those are our languages too. But I was doing some research this week, and where the post office is concerned, because as you know, we have begun ministerial duties as the post office here at America, the original indigenous sovereign universal postal union. In all lowercase letters in red is the Moors. And so we've begun that ministry here. So I was looking through their guidelines and things, and I came across this right here, because some Moors, and the source of this is listed right down there. And it is Article 431, the U.S. Postal Service, their manual, their mailing manual. And this is what it says. It says, if an item is improperly addressed, but the country of designation is legibly written, dispatch it to the exchange office. And that exchange office, exchange is in all lowercase letters. It says the exchange office will determine whether the address is sufficient. And then there's a note here. The note says, due to heightened security, many foreign postal administrations require complete sender and addressee information in Roman letters and Arabic numerals on postal items. So I began to think about our mailings and things like that. So I said, well, let me just do a little digging and find out what that looks like. Because, again, we've always said we are Rome in all lowercase letters. We are also, some were saying that the treaty was written in Arabic and that they haven't seen the Arabic. And some say they have seen the Arabic version of the treaty. All languages have had things added to them and things across over time. But let's look at Roman letters and Arabic numbers and what that looks like. For those of us who feel that we don't know, let's look at Roman letters first. Roman alphabet and numbers. If you look here, it says the Roman numerals are represented, not presented, but represented by the letters that we have. The Roman numerals 1 through 10 are, and then they list them there. The Romans used this for their numbers. Some was influenced by Latin. We use Roman numerals too. And then up here at the top, right up here, it says the Roman alphabet has 23 letters when our alphabet has 26. Some of our words that use these letters are influenced by the Roman words. The letters that are missing from the Roman alphabet compared to the American alphabet are J, W, and U. J, U, and W. Even though the Roman alphabet had less letters, it still influenced our alphabet. In other words, they're saying these that you see here. Now, again, this is a capitalized version of the Roman alphabet, but as you can see there, we've been using the Roman alphabet the whole time. We've been using the Roman alphabet. We are Rome, but we've been using it. We actually use it in all lowercase letters. That's the original Rome. And if you'll notice, the 3 letters that were missing in our alphabet that we did not use is J-U-W, which spells Jew. And that's why whenever they wanted to speak code about us, they would say Jew, because we didn't have those in our alphabet originally. So we've been writing in Roman, which is ancient. It's ancient. Ancient Rome and America today look a lot alike. And we'll prove that some more down the way. So we've been writing in Roman the whole time, because that was where the alphabet derived from. So now let's look at the Arabic. Because when I saw that, I'm thinking, why would the post office tell people to use that? Why? Let's go. Oh, and this is my source. This is the source. The source of this information is listed right here, 5romanlegacies.weebly.com. Okay. Let's look at Arabic. What does Arabic numerals look like? There it is. Arabic numerals are the 10 digits, 0, 1, or aught, 0, aught, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The term often implies a decimal number written using these digits, in particular when contrasted with Roman numerals. However, the term can mean the digits themselves, such as in the statement, octal numbers are written using Arabic numerals. So our regular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is ancient, is Arabic. So we've been in our language and culture the whole time. And you can see the sources of that information and do a little research on that as well, Islam. So our ancient English was called by many other names, just like we were. Yet we are the same yesterday, today, and forever. Ancient English was called a bunch of other things. Roman, it was called Arabic, it was called Sumerian, it was called a whole bunch of other things. But it's actually what we currently use. We have not changed. We're still the same. And that's what the bibliophilia text says about us. The Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so we pulled everything, the Roman and the Arabic, out of the corporate status and jurisdiction, which is non-existent, and put it back in its proper term. And that's why we call it ancient English, but it's really Roman, it's Greek, it's Phoenician, it's Latin. It's because some of the words are spelled the same as Latin. In the chat, Moors are the ascendants for Elohim, those who come from above, order of Melchizedek, the 7 creative words, sound, spirit, Islam. So our culture has permeated the earth, the whole earth. They all know about it. They knew who we were even when we didn't. And that's why when we use ancient English, it doesn't matter where we go, they're going to know exactly what we're talking about. Because the mother nation speaks ancient Anglo Angel English. That's really what English, the word comes from, angle, and angel. It's really English, which is where they hypothecated Anglo-Saxon. But when we put it in all lowercase letters, it's still us. So I was blown away when I read that, and as the ancestors began to affirm what we've been doing all along in terms of the ancient English piece. A lot of times the ancestors will give us some information via the Akashic records, and then they will affirm it later after we do the demonstration. They will affirm it in the writings where we can actually see, oh, okay, that's the physical manifestation of what we were told, but we knew in our spirit that it was the right thing, just based on our study and on what the ancestors were telling us all. So now let us switch up just a little bit. And this is something that I posted on because we want to know ourselves. This is something that I posted on social media recently because some have been looking for proof, again, of us. But as we know, the Albion foreigners wiped the history, supposedly wiped it clean, but they didn't really wipe it clean. It was just called by a different name. That's why when we wake up, we have to name things properly, and when we name them properly, they know that we are the heirs. We are exactly who we say we are. And so our modern word territory is a derivative or altered pronunciation of our ancient word Tartary. When you research or even just Google Tartary or territory, you will see our true, real history coming forth and presenting itself. So I did a little bit of pulling up of some of the Tartary information about our empire, and it is known earthwide. So let's look at some of it just for a moment, just so that we can get our placement about who we are and where we are. This is from a 1771 Encyclopedia Britannica, and that is a map of Grand Territory or Grand Tartary. But of course, that's not all of it. As we'll see when we read, they tell you it's not all of it. Right here, it says Tartary, a vast country, and they do spell in ancient English on these documents, but they're easier for us to read because we know how to read in ancient English. All of us do already. It says a vast country in the northern parts of Asia, bounded by Siberia on the north and west. This is called Great Tartary or Great Territory. The Tartars who lie south of Muscovy and Siberia are those of African, Caucasian, and Tajikistan, situated northwest of the Caspian Sea, the Kalmu, Tartars who lie between Siberia and the Caspian Sea, the Uzbek Tartars and Mongols who lie north of Persia and India, and lastly those of Tibet who lie northwest of China, and this is China. So where is northwest of China? And also, where is south? Because it mentions here that it's bounded by Siberia on the north and west. We are west. And this is, they're saying west is called Great Tartary. North and west is Great Tartary. And then this is Grand Tartary or Grand Territory. Great Territory and Grand Territory. Yes. Justice Jeremore says, all the words or terms are pointing to or away from Moors. Why? Because in the beginning is the Word, and the Word is now. We had to say it first, and then they can say it. We have to know first who we are before anyone else can come and say, this is who. We knew that. We just wanted to see if you heirs could manifest that. So there it is, north and west of Siberia is Great Tartary, which is us. So let's look at some of the things that have to do with us there. This is our territory. It's the whole entire map. The whole entire map. It's the whole thing. That is Al-Aqsa, the Maghrib Al-Aqsa, Grand and Great Tartary, or Asia. The uniting of Asia is what our prophet referred to. That's what this is. And now let's look at that a little bit more. There's a book called Travel. That's what this map came from, a book called Travels in Tartary, Tibet, and China, because they spell Tibet the ancient way and not the modern way. They add an H to it. Traveled in Tartary, Tibet, and China during the years 1844, 45, and 46, Volume 1. That's where that map came from. So now, this is the part that affirms what we have known, all of us in our hearts and our minds, and the information is now being given. We've known it in our spirit by way of the Akashic record. But here, on stolenhistory.org, Tartarian city of Norumbega was conquered to become Washington, D.C. Norumbega, Rome. But they called it Washington, D.C. And that comes from what you see there on the screen, stolenhistory.org. Go there. They got a lot of stuff there. Again, our history is vast and has been known by all the whole time. So we're sitting here trying to get people around us to know who we are, and all they're thinking is we knew a long time ago. We just waited for you all to say it. That's all. So yes, it's right in our faces, but let's put it in our faces some more so we know.
Islam, they used to have a car called Vega.
They used to have a what?
Used to be a car called Vega.
Oh, yes. They put little hints out there in the things that they did, like Denali. Well, we know that Al-Aqsa North is Denali. But let's look a little further, because again, our land had many names and has many names, but it's still ours, no matter what. We've had many names. Our language has had many names. Our alphabet, our numbers, everything has had many names throughout the ages. But it's still us. We have not gone anywhere. We've been here since before here was here. So let's go a little further. And I'm citing the sources here as we go. Okay. Now again, this is stuff we knew. So as I was looking up Tartars and Tartary and our territory, this came up. I didn't even have to edit it or anything, because I don't really have to edit our stuff and put the right thing in there, because they know we know now. Another interesting possibility is the evidence of Moorish settlements in the Americas, this right here. Look at what they know about us. On the screen. That's our stuff. We are awesome people, and as we get continue to align with the cosmos, the download for the information is going to come and encode itself right on into our genometric makeup. It's coming even now, and then we'll be able to restore, and that's what we're doing. That's the goal, is to restore this temple back to the greatness of our ancestors, so that we can do what we need to do, what we were sent here to do. Let's go even further, because it gets even better. Here's another one. And where would you even expect this to be? England somewhere, maybe. Russia somewhere, maybe. You would think that, huh? You would think that. You would think that, and I thought that too until I read where it really is, and I'm like, wow. So let's read where it really is. Sioux City Corn Palace in Sioux City, Iowa. And it's Moorish, and they know it. And there's the information right there. Michelle Gibson has compiled some fascinating research on the castles that litter, and she says litter, because a lot of them are covered by mudflood coverage. A lot of it we don't see because it's covered. The American landscape as possible remnants of an extensive Moorish presence. Yes, Iowa, Sioux City, Iowa. And every territory has buildings like that in it. Every territory, I don't care how remote it is, out there in the middle of Wisconsin, out there in the middle of Alaska, South Dakota, North Dakota, all of those places have the most beautiful temples and buildings, and a lot of it is covered up. And we'll show you that here as we go. So this clipping below that I'm going to show you is from a newspaper article out of a journal called the Rasmus Journal from January the 6th, 1858. 1858. It's volume 4, number 20. And this is currently held in the Chronicling America section of the Library of Congress. That's where I got that from, this next thing that I'm going to read from the Library of Congress. Let me just make sure that you all can see. Okay. Clearfield, Pennsylvania is where this was published. And we know about Clearfield, Pennsylvania because we know about the Clearfield Doctrine, which states that corporations cannot govern. That's where that happens, or where it derives from, rather. Where it derives from. Okay. So let's read this article here. It says, the antiquities of America, this is 1858, the antiquities of America extend, antiquities means us. The antiquities of America extend from the eastern shores of Maine and Massachusetts to the Pacific, and from the Great Lakes and British Dominion to Peru and La Plata in South America. In fact, throughout the extent of both continents. Immense forests grow over the ruins of large cities, and the gigantic size of the trees, with indications that other generations of trees sprung up and grew before them, proves that the ruins were in existence before the Christian era. Okay? Hang on just a moment. Let me silence that. Before the Christian era, in every portion of the United States, interesting ruins have been discovered. In the state of New York have been found sculptured figures of 100 animals of different species, executed in a style far superior to anything exhibited by any of the existing tribes of Indians. That tells you that that's not us. Indians, that's not us. Not like that. The state of Ohio abounds in ruins of towns and fortifications with extensive mounds and pyramids. And then it goes on to talk about some of those pyramids. And the link, if you want, I can put the link to this article, to the entire article, in the chat. Justice Yearmore has also placed a link to Michelle Gibson's work, which is great work. She talks about all of everything that has to do with the Moors. She's done a lot of research. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this article in the chat so that you can pick up the whole thing and see how magnificent and how our history knows no limits. There was nothing before us. Nothing before us. and there'll be nothing after us, actually. So let me go ahead and now, speaking of things that were here and ruins that were here in existence before the Christian era, just like this article states, the trees and the immense forest, okay, let me just point that out. Immense forests grow over the ruins of large cities and the gigantic size of the trees with indications that other generations of trees sprung up and grew before them, proving that the ruins were in existence before the Christian era. So I want to show you just a few of those ruins here in this territory. And some of you have seen these, to include those who came here on October 31st for the Mima Mound Solemn Assembly that we had there. And we actually went to this site to see these ancient ruins that are here, sticking right up out of the ground here. And what our intention is for them. So this is what some of them look like. This is a staircase, and of course underneath it and all around it is evidence of a large structure underneath. These are some of the walls of the ruined building. And we wanted to get because we know this is ours, it's moorishe, just based on the limestone and the immense size of it, because the others don't do, they don't use the kind of stuff that we use. And so we wanted to get some idea of the size of this structure. So we got a satellite picture looking down on this structure so that we could see, maybe get some idea of the size of it. And this is that photo. I know from being here, and you can see parking lots and streets across the way there. I know from being here that this structure is so massive that it even goes across the street. But when you look here, and it's hard for me to point it out because I don't have a pointer on here, but if you see these lines going, those are the walls that we were looking at. These are the walls. And they go on and on and on and on and on, even outside of this photo, and even far behind this photo. There's lots and lots of building space behind this photo as well, where the structure has been covered in the mud floods, and the roots of the trees and everything, are right there. Trees are growing over them, but you can tell that they're younger, newer trees, but you can also see the older trees. So the territory or territory of the Moors here at Great Tartary or Great Territory is still here. That's still ours, and it's still here. And that's why we always say we are the people of the land, or for the land, people from the land. We are the heirs to the land. Because under the land is a whole new estate there. Many of the other nations and on other continents have already unearthed quite a bit of their ruins, and they are absolutely massive and fabulous. They are restoring and renewing them, and we have to do the same at some point. So that is where we're going with that. This is that staircase, as you can see. This is that staircase. And This is what our temples looked like previously. And many of you have seen this on social media. As you can see, the limestone is there. And those are our images there on the grand temple. That's what it looks like underneath there in many cases. So whenever we are looking for who we are, everyone else already knows. They knew not to build on top of that because we needed to see it. Yes, Islam in the chat. The walls of Jericho can be seen on the Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama borders, over 27,000 acres of reserve, native or natural reserve. Yes. Whenever you see a natural reserve or preserve, it has buildings and structures there that they cannot disturb. And everything that we see on this land, including every road, every street, every interstate, every domicile, and everything, was built on top of, and I mean every. There's not 1 inch of this land that does not have something on it that's ours. And in many cases, they did build on top of it, but that's because they knew when we woke up, we would look around and see our vast estate and figure out how to deal with it. And that's what we're doing. Because in reality, the things that are there, just think about it. Think about the history that's there. Think about the wealth that's there in terms of everything that you can think of where wealth is concerned. But I'm thinking about the information that's down there, things like ancient seeds. Yes. No, not 1 stone will be left unturned by the time we finish restoring the vast estate. That's true. And that is where eminent dominion comes in at. See, their job was to keep us looking at the temporary stuff, a conveyance and a domicile, and we have, those are things that we need and want to have. We get that, but that's nothing compared to the real vast estate. Nothing. There are remedies down there. There are inventions there that our ancestors. Let's look some more, because we need to see. I need to make another point about our architecture, our Tartary architecture. The buildings were so huge. I was wondering, how did we even heat those buildings? How did we do that? How do we even afford this? I mean, we know we own everything. We get that. But how did we heat and cool those buildings and everything? We pulled it right out of the air. Every last one of our buildings had a silver rod sticking out of the dome. And that rod acted as an electrical condenser. And it brought electricity straight out of the air and energy straight out of the air and even moisture straight out of the air. And it took care of the whole structure. Those structures were huge. The Capitol buildings in all of the territories is a small example, a very small, minuscule example of the Tartary Moorish American Empire, Al-Moroccan Empire. So hang on just one moment. Let me make sure. Okay. Let me see if I can allow. Okay. So let's just see. Let's keep going. Now, I want to switch gears just a little bit because we still have to get past.
How come I can't join your cult, Pauline?
Hold on for just a moment.
The science house?
So we have to get past, this, the things that we can see. Because we're looking down the road a little ways, but we still have things that we're dealing with right here, right now. Conveyances, domiciles, things like that. So it's good for us to look down the road to see where we're going, but we got to deal with the stuff here first. That was one of the things that, again, and I mention this all the time because it's important. I asked the ancestors, how do we get past that to get to the estate, the real deal? And they said, be everything that's supposedly stopping you. If there's fake courts that are stopping you, you be the court, and they have to leave you alone. You be the police, and then fake policy enforcers have to leave you alone. You be the commerce so that the grocery store can't tell you to wear a mask. Be all that you need, God. And so we have to do that. Now, let's look at the property piece. Because I came across some information this week that we're going to be using, because last week we went over, I believe it was either last week or week before last, we went over a news article that gave us a hint about where we are, where property repossession is concerned. Now, again, we never lost possession of any property. It all still belongs to us. But we now need to get to the point where we are ensuring that more of us move in, because some have already possessed and are domiciling. But we need more and more domiciling where they want to domicile. So we've heard of dead pledges. What is a dead pledge? What is it that we've been calling a dead pledge? Can someone answer that?
Islam.
Islam.
A dead pledge is a mortgage. I yield.
Yes. Islam. Thank you, nobility. A dead pledge is a mortgage. So has anyone looked to see what the antithesis of a dead pledge is, or what the opposite of it is? We have heard of dead pledges, mortgages. So what is the antithesis of a dead pledge? Pledge does not have the same definition when it is in capitis diminutio nolo and in red as defined by the sovereign Phoenician Moorish scientists. For the sovereign Moorish American heirs, a pledge is a lawful document, or it's our word, or it is a parcel of sovereign property that we choose to hold or give as surety to each other. Corporations are notwithstanding, so we're not even talking about them and all of their madness, but we do it in order to express goodwill, secure a living contract if a contract is even necessary, or to encourage willing, fully disclosed sovereign commercial intercourse. So our commercial intercourse is always fully disclosed to one another. I heard someone say today, and I'm not saying yay or nay on this, it's just something that I heard today that kind of made me think. But someone said today that honorable people, their word is good enough. They don't even need a contract. And dishonorable people, you can contract all day long and they're never going to keep a contract anyway. Honorable people don't need a contract. Dishonorable people won't keep one. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what someone said today that struck me as, something to think about. So we've heard of dead pledges. Now let's see what the opposite of a dead pledge is.
Islam.
Islam.
The opposite of a dead pledge is a allodial aboriginal title.
That is correct. That is correct. That is absolutely correct, nobility. Yes, it is. Let's look at another way to say that, because you're absolutely right. So, pledge. I pulled this that you're about to see right out of an unabridged older dictionary. And this is what the antithesis of a dead pledge is. The antithesis of a dead pledge is a living pledge. What is a living pledge? It says here in the dictionary, in law, a conveyance as of realty in trust with power to collect. That's a living pledge. Anything living has power, and it's not living until the heirs say it's living. So, allodial title is an example of a living pledge. It's a pledge between us and our ancestors. And them saying, we saved this for you, but we want you to be competent to possess it. We pledged it to you, and it cannot be bought or sold by anyone. It's unalienable and inalienable. Just account for it properly, or count for it properly. So that is what a living pledge is. We have a universal, original, indigenous, sovereign living pledge that all realty belongs to us, and we do have the power to collect in a lawful, peaceful, sovereign, competent manner. Islam. So now we can talk about living pledges when we're doing our demonstrations. We don't honor dead pledges. We just don't. We honor living pledges. All that is living is ours. Dead pledge means death. That's it. So let's now switch gears just a little bit and talk about lawful information for our study, because that's ultimately what we're doing, is putting the documents and the paperwork together as we take back our Tartary or territory, the great territory back. And make sure that we are assisting one another in that process. So our sovereign consular courts and our living United States courts, in all lowercase letters in red, which is the original indigenous sovereigns, have legislative, executive, and judicial authority, all three of them. All Moorish American justices have legislative, executive, and judicial authority at all times. Legislative is lawmaker and lawbringer. Executive is the management and governance of our sovereign universal affairs. Judicial is the ministry and administration of justice by the law. Moorish American consuls and justices are all three branches of government in one. All Moors are consuls and justices. So, one of our highly competent justices here at Moorish American Consulate West, brought up recently an observation that lawful quo warrantos basically provide a seemingly similar function as the liens and sovereign court actions accomplish. However, it is important to clarify the difference. Quo warrantos are sent and received between courts of similar nature and or on the same land, but in different jurisdictions. Quo warrantos generally ask, do you have jurisdiction to try this, to hear this case? Do you have jurisdiction to hear it? Quo warrantos give the receiving court, whoever we send that to, give the receiving court the lawful due process to prove that they have jurisdiction that supersedes the jurisdiction of the sending court. Now, no court has jurisdiction over the heirs, over the Moorishe American Consular Court or the United States courts, which is us. It's not anything foreign, it's us. No court, there's no higher authority than the Moors. None. On the land, on the earth, none. So the receiving court must provide sound law, and it must be sound law-based, sound law based on personam jurisdiction first, then on territorial jurisdiction, then on subject matter jurisdiction in that order as necessary. So they have to prove first and foremost, everyone has to be properly identified for a quo warranto to be sent. And again, the courts have to be of the same nature. So it can't be between a quo warranto. We're no longer sending those to fake corporate courts because fake corporate courts have no business on our land at all. So they have to first identify properly personam jurisdiction. So the Moors will always be asking, do you first have jurisdiction over the person, personam, not the person because we're not persons, but do you have jurisdiction over the body that you see, the Moorishe living being? Do you have jurisdiction over that living being? And the answer is always going to be no, everywhere in all fake courts, especially fake courts, but we wouldn't even send that to a fake court anymore. Okay. Then if it's another Moorishe American Consular Court, or I'm sorry, United States Court, because that's where likeness is determined. Once likeness is determined, then territorial jurisdiction comes into play. Did whatever happen in your territory, or was it in our territory? And then after that, that brings the courts closer together, and then subject matter jurisdiction comes into play in that order as necessary. As other nations form their sovereign courts, quo warrantos will be necessary for us and for them where the sovereign heirs and our property are concerned. That brings us to our sovereign liens and court actions, because the initial observation by this extremely sharp sovereign justice in this territory was that they do similar things. Quo warrantos do the similar things as liens and court actions. Our sovereign liens and court actions are for the complete shutdown of fraudulent commercial corporations doing business as courts on our land, and for the lockdown of all sovereign resources that said fictitious corporations may have been claiming. The resources are first locked down and then properly identified, and then properly claimed, and then placed in sovereign Moorishe government inventories for our use. This is the proper and competent conveyance method for use by the heirs as well. This is the lawful conveyance of all property on our land so that all resources are counted. And just as a side note, a true census is an inventory of all sovereign property. Islam, Justice Amos. Observation well taken. So our Grand Chief, Taj Tariq Bey, said that there are some things that we're doing now that we won't do later. These are some of the changes that are being made as we grow and stand as government, because we are the law and we are the government. We are putting those things in place. We don't have to send a quo warranto to a fake court pretending to have jurisdiction over us. We already know they don't. So what do? We just lean them and then do a court action on them and notify them that a court action has been done and that they have been found guilty of unlawful occupation of our land. That's all we do with them. And then we let them and all fake policy enforcers and all of that know that we know we have the sovereign jurisdiction. We are the sovereign jurisdiction. I've done that, and we don't have issues with policy enforcers. If they show up and it's us, and we don't say anything to them, they can't do anything because we've terminated all presumed, because we never had any contracts with them in the first place. But we terminated all presumed contracts with them. So they are not an issue where we're concerned. And then as we go along the way, we continue to periodically terminate the corporate contracts again, just in case, just for the record, to ensure that that energy stays away. Are there any questions, comments, issues at all, anything that we need to discuss? I have talked long enough. And if you have anything to say, especially I'm interested in hearing, or I would love to hear about what you think about the Roman numeral, the Roman letters and the Arabic numerals, because again, many people have known that we're already ancient. English is ancient when we use it properly. But any of the things that we spoke about, or any demonstrations that you're doing, any questions, comments, etc. Let me just make sure. Okay.
And look at it. Go sushi.
Islam.
Islam.
The notice to lien and arrest command. It's my understanding that all documents that we send out, that we send out from here on out, will be in all lowercase letters. We should redo them in all lowercase letters and leave the corporations capitalized in black.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes, all lowercase letters in red. Let me say this too about that you can handwrite an affidavit. You can handwrite an affidavit. Yes, that's a beautiful heiress. She's beautiful.
Thank you.
Islam. You can handwrite affidavits in red in all lowercase letters and then use black ink for the corporation. Some people were saying that they didn't. There's one or two, a couple of Moors, actually probably 5 or 6 of our Moors, who are not. They don't deal with computers because they just don't care to. It's not that they can't, they just don't care to. And so they handwrite all of their affidavits in red in all lowercase letters, which is the highest seal anyway. So that can be done. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, etc.? I tell you, I just love to see the
Islam.
Yes, Islam.
Yeah, Jakeem here from Toronto Territory.
Yes, Islam.
Yeah. So I just want to share a situation that I'm dealing with right now, where I had the tax department send me a bill a couple of weeks ago, and this was I think the executive. She's the executive for the tax department, and she sent me a bill, and pretty much saying that I haven't paid taxes for 2 years, and they're giving me till December, the end of this month, to pay the taxes, or they're gonna put up my home for sale for $7,000. I haven't yet responded, but I'm hoping to respond this week. So I was talking to another Moor today. I was trying to figure out what I should do if I should. First, I was going to discharge. I'm going to send a discharge. What do you call it? Slipping me. The term is this. Anyway, a discharge note to discharge the amount that they're claiming. Also, I was thinking if I should send them that first and then see if they respond and before I actually place a lien on them. Or I was thinking if I should place the lien and then just to protect myself, just in case they try anything stupid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you for the sake of clarity of the concept. Okay. Because it seems like you've owned what they sent. Did they send the bill to you or to a court?
To the court, to the straw.
Right. Okay. Is that you?
No.
Okay. Then that means the debt is not yours. So why would you discharge a debt that's not yours? That's like discharging someone else's debt and claiming it. You got to claim it first to discharge it, don't you? You have to say it's yours in order for you to discharge it, don't you?
Right. But I mean, what they're using is the longitude and latitude of the property. So
that doesn't matter. They're a corpse too. They're talking to a corpse, and they are a corpse. It doesn't matter whether they use the latitude or longitude. They're a corpse. They can't speak anyway. They're not talking to you, so here is my suggestion. And actually, I would like for some of the Moors on here to make some suggestions, because there was a suggestion put in the chat that I would have said.
Islam.
But I'd like to hear from the Moors. Islam.
I would say make sure that you terminate all corporate contracts and that corporation is on the termination of corporate contracts. And that's where I would go with it. And then if they send you any more, if they send you anything else, don't respond to it. And I yield.
Islam,
go ahead, Justice.
Nana Bay, Central Territory. I had that same incident, but I leaned the tax department and everybody there, did the court action on them, and I put the house in the trust and put it on their county record, notification declaration of trust, and they still sent that. Every time they sent it, I'd do a 45-degree angle on it with the date and time, return the sender wrong mailing location, and that's the way we deal with that. Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Islam.
Well, that's what I did. That's what I did. A few weeks ago when they send one, I just wrote on it and I wrote the UCC code, blah blah blah, and I send it back, put it back in the mailbox, and I send it back. And now they send this one. Yeah, and that's what
when
they send it.
When you do that, do you do it in red and all lowercase letters?
Yes, I did it.
Okay.
I wrote it on the envelope that they came in, and I took a picture and I send it back.
Okay. Justice Morpheus in the chat said lien them and then do a court action. And then he said lien them first. So again, we would not suggest, now we can't tell sovereigns what to do, but we would not suggest a discharge because you'd be claiming debt that's not yours. And then when you claim that debt, they're going to say, okay, he claimed it, so we don't care what he did after that. We're going after him because he claimed it. So like the noble said, terminate the corporate contract. Make sure you've done that and put that on the public record and include them in on it. All presumed contracts, because you, the living, don't have a contract with the dead court. You don't. And so that then the court action, you know, lien them, do the court action, and they will send things, but sending something, as long as you rebut it properly, they can't move past that. They sometimes like to try and posture like they can, and they'll send a spell, and then they'll send a bigger spell, and then they'll send a bigger spell, you know. But all they're doing is sending paper. That's it. It's sending paper. And so all you do is do your due diligence of liens and court actions and terminations of all corporate contracts, and then you can write in red on any time they send it. I wouldn't even open it because it's not for you. Once you do the lien and the court action, it's not for you. And then you send it, does not. I usually put, because sometimes Moors will get mail here where, you know, and they said, I don't need to get anything that has all caps on it. I'll say, okay. You know, does not exist in red and all lowercase letters. And when I put does not exist, I put it to whoever sent it, that they don't exist, and to whoever they're sending it to, they don't exist. So that means don't neither one of y'all exist, and then I throw it back. And then I, you know, cover up where it was sent to, you know, and put it in drop it back in the mail so it can go right on back where it came from, the hell or the pit that it came from, you know. Yeah.
Well, I send, because I claim I did my allodial title and it's up on script, and this is what got, because what I had on the property before was the first mortgage and the second mortgage, and so when I decided to do my allodial title, I notified the first mortgage and the second mortgage, and it's like that just riled them up seeing my allodial title. Man, they came in like firing. and they brought me to court. Both of them brought me to the court, and I did forward you the info. And then so what I did is I actually I rebutted to have the case be removed to council court or our court. So I'm just waiting now to hear how they're going to respond, if they're going to respond.
Okay.
But.
So you do the court action and the lien on them. You do it. You can do it.
Yeah, I did it already. I did the court action this week, and both of I'm doing the week coming up here. I'm going to be doing the first mortgage. The second mortgage I did already this week, and I also send a copy of the guilty judgment to the Law Society for these lawyers who's coming after me and saying that, you know, that they're debt collectors.
Stop. I'm okay. So we're gonna fix the language. They are not coming after you. They're not. And that's actually the first concept that once you get that concept, everything else will make sense. They're not talking to you at all.
Right, because that's what I did. Anyway, I rebut that that's not me and so forth. But I'm just saying that they're using the longitude and the longitude of the property to say that that's what they have a mortgage against, and so they're trying to come after the property.
Come on, Pauline, I really want
their mouths have to be speaking some truth, don't they? They first have to identify themselves properly first. Yes, they do. They have to properly identify first before they can use latitude and longitude and it have any effect on what you're saying. They're still dead. I don't care what they use. They're still dead. Of course,
Islam
can talk about latitude and longitude all day, but you're still dead. You're still dead. Go ahead, Justice. Someone else was wanting to get in there as well. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Justice.
Islam. Did our brother, did he lien the corporate address? And also
yes,
we have to remove that corporate address out of there. Once we lien the corporate address, we got to take it and tell them this is no longer, the address is dead now, and we remove our land from their registry. So we don't report to their phony tax registry anymore because that property is no longer in their jurisdiction, it's our jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, I did it recently, so it's not cured yet. So it's not cured yet. I did a lien recently, so it's not cured yet on the property. But I did serve the mayor of this.
When you say it's not cured, you mean it hasn't been the 90 days on the lien?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But still, and that's okay that it hasn't been 90 days on the lien, but they're still liened, and they have no authority unless. See, the reason they continue to send things is they're hoping that you will claim the straw, will claim the dead man, the corpse. They want you to claim the corpse. Their only job is please consent to being the corpse. Whether we call you on the phone or anything, please consent to being the corpse. Claim some debt that the corpse owes. Say you're the corpse for 2 seconds so we can move on you. That's their job.
I know, because
it's inducement to fraud is what it is. You'd be a fraud if you claim it. If you did because you're being a fraud. Like that kind of debt. If you say you're debt that a corpse is trying to put in you in saying that you're that, and that they can take things because of that debt, they can't take anything because you don't have a contract with them, and that's not their property. They can't. So they just send paper, which is spells, by the way.
May I add, they also are outlaws, and they also are squatting on your land? Are you?
This is Great Tartary. This is Amexum. This is Al-Marak. This is Maghrib al-Aqsa. This is not any of those places that they said. This is Asia. This is Morocco, ancient Morocco, the empire. This is not what they say it is. And they don't have any life or claim unless you give it to them.
Right.
None.
Well, what I did is rebut, and I send them. There's some really good court cases that are fairly recent from the Supreme Court, 2019 and 2018, in regards to lawyers being debt collectors. I don't know if you're aware of any of those cases.
Okay, when you send cases like that, just make sure that you notate everything in red and all lowercase letters. Even though it might have been said by a fake corporate court, it becomes living if it's valid when we put it in red and all lowercase letters, and then that means it came from us.
There's one against Nico Brown's against Will Fargo. That's a really good one. Then there's one against Colorado. You can just Google it. Supreme Court in Colorado rule against the lawyers who was trying to take this man's property. This was last year.
Yeah,
and all nine. Yeah, this went to the Supreme Court. So all 9 just to say that the lawyers are not debt collectors and rule against them. So.
Well, they belong in jail. That's why we just do a court action on those types and throw them right on in jail. Right.
So that's what I did with them, and I sent them the judgment. So.
Yeah.
And I also already send a copy to the Provost Marshal, both the Canadian and the United States Provost Marshal. So give them a copy. But what I like to do, I like to notify even before I do my court actions. So what I did is I send them an affidavit showing the correspondence that I had with them before.
I really want to join your call.
In terms of asking them for disclosure, like what Taj used to suggest, that you send in these documents and ask them for disclosure, and if they're supposed to provide a disclosure. So they didn't provide a disclosure saying that there's a debt owing. So the
Scientologist told me to come to you.
Yeah, so I send them a default judgment. So I also send that affidavit to the provost marshal, so that when they see that there's a ruling that comes down from the court, they can see the reason why. Because what they're just getting court actions saying that these guys were found guilty, blah, 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 blah. But it's good when they also can see why. That's just my way anyway. That's how
Islam. Yes, ultimately the demonstration is yours to do. Nobility, you can do it however you are led to do it. Absolutely, yes. And Moors are encouraged to do their demonstrations based on their studies. And since you've studied that, use it. Use it. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think it's good, because when they read the document, they're lawyers, and they see the reason why there's a court action, I think it give it more, what should I say, more strength, kind of thing. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Great. Awesome demonstration. Keep it up. They send spells hoping. That's called fishing. Fishing for the dead.
Well, I did before some other alleged debt that they were claiming that I had from other companies. But what I did with those debt discharge, I put X-Rail, and then I put my my appellation. So I put my straw X-Rail, and then I put my appellation. So I mean, yeah, that straw is dead. So.
That's a good technique. However, I have found, and this is just me, this is not, apparently that worked for you. But I have found that even the X-Rail, we really never had a relationship with that all caps name. We've always been sovereign. There's always been a creditor side to this. We've only known the debtor side because that was what we were shown from birth. But there's always been a creditor side that we did not know about, that was always really us, in all lowercase letters in red, not in the capital letters and all of the stuff that's on the fake birth certificate. So why would we claim that we had a relationship with the all caps name when we didn't even consent to that? A baby can't consent to that. And that's just what I see with that, and that's how I do my demonstrations. But again, each sovereign is absolutely to govern their own affairs the way they see fit, and I applaud you for what you're doing, because it's amazing. And I will say this, and this is why I love what I do. Because I remember when I first heard from you, you were very, you were a different person. You're much more confident now than you were when I first heard from you.
That's true.
And your demonstrations are far more powerful, and you have just really, and I always notice that, in wars, and that is what just makes me just leap over trees and mountains and all of that, with this, is just seeing, because when we first hear from Moors, a lot of times they're frantic and they're nervous and they're scared, and you can provide assistance, but only to a certain degree, because they can only hear so much with all of that emotion going on. But once they calm down and realize that those people really can't do much unless I say something to them. Islam justice. Islam, I love you.
I have another situation. So what I did is I had the issue going on with my restaurant too at this plaza, and the bailiff, this alleged landlord, called the bailiff and changed the locks on me, and they blocked me out. And what I did is I brought the bailiff and the two policy enforcers. I brought them to our court and found them guilty, and I served them with the verdict, the judgment. And what I noticed is that the alleged landlord, he went back and changed back the locks, but it looks like he reached out to them and nobody came. No policy enforcement, because I did warn them before, and I told them don't come back on the property, and they're not allowed on the property, and don't get involved. And in Ontario, bailiffs and policy enforcers, they are not allowed to get involved in any dispute with real property.
They can't. They can't do it here either.
You're right. So, but he went and changed the locks back. I haven't changed it back yet, but I said I'm just thinking, how do I go about this situation here with this guy, man? Because he's you've been reconnecting, and you've been reconnecting with your ancestral energy. That's number one, because of your demonstrations that you're doing. From this point, how to proceed, now that you know that they had to do what you told them. They had to. They don't have a choice. Because that stuff, they know it does not belong to them. And you didn't even need a gun or an army, or you didn't need all that. You just needed to do the liens and court actions and put them in their place. And you stay in your place, your sovereign status. So, but I don't want to have to keep changing.
As you proceed, well, they won't if you don't claim that straw and you don't claim the debt and all of that. They're going to send spells. They're going to send them, and all you have to do is send back the truth.
I know, but what I'm saying is he went and changed. He went and changed my lock, and we're playing this lock game, and I don't want to be playing any lock game. He changed the lock, I changed it back.
Yeah.
And he's changing the lock again, but I'm waiting. I leaned him already, so I'm waiting for the lien to actually cure. So I said he got a couple more months to play around with this nonsense before he's completely shut down. Before he shut down, but
he knows that, and you know that. Yeah,
but it's also hindering me to operate my business and my customers and all that kind of stuff. So
I get it.
It's a little frustrating. So
I can imagine.
So I'm just thinking about how I'm going to go about this one.
It's called testing, just so that you're aware, and I know you know that. I know.
I know. So I went by the plaza yesterday, and some of my neighbors are telling me, "Oh, I heard that there's a warrant out for your arrest." I said, "Really?" I said, "They know where I live. How come nobody came?"
They're not coming.
So
they're not coming because they're not even talking to you, and they know you know that. So see, this is. Let me tell you, the game that they play too is they will put a carrot out there so that you claim, and I believe that's what that discharge piece is just a carrot out there right now. At some point, discharge will be a real thing that we can use, but not until not with the corporations, because that's contracting with them. Discharge is something that's going to happen where the Moors and our own sovereign economy is concerned. But right now, that kind of thing is something that will make it so that you, again, contract with them to discharge something. They don't have the authority to discharge it. They didn't have the authority to create the debt in the first place, not and put it on the living. So they put it on a court. That's why they do that, because they don't have the authority to put it on us. But if you claim the debt, then guess what else you're claiming? War rents and all that other stuff. And that's why we just continue to keep the corporate contracts terminated, and then continue moving forward. You see. So
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Locks and all of that stuff, that is cat and mouse. They know the place does not belong to them. But they will do that if there maybe was a phone conversation or something where they saw that, you know, maybe he's a little shaky. Maybe we can rattle him by doing this and see if he'll claim that debt or see if he'll claim the straw. See if he'll claim to be dead and denationalize himself. Let's see if we can rattle him with this. Okay, that didn't work. Well, let's try something else. Okay, that didn't work. Well, I guess we out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you all are going with that whole cat and mouse piece.
I know it's a little frustrating, though.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know it is. The testing is frustrating for, you know, that's the time that the heirs are in. We're being tested to see if we're fit to govern or will we cave in because we're a little frustrated. Because I feel bad for them sometimes when I think about it, but I can't do anything about my feeling bad for them. But the ones who did cave in and claim something trying to get a benefit, they end up having to fight their way out of that. And that prolongs even more, you know, them getting to where they're trying to go. You don't want that. You want to stand. Because they are not withstanding. And they know that. But see, think about this. They changed locks or whatever, but they didn't come to where you are and try to take you. That's cat and mouse. They know you know who you are, but there was something going on with the address maybe or something like that, you know, it's not a big deal. It's something that just because they use the, that's cat and mouse too when they use the latitude and longitude, when they know good and well that they also added to that a corporate address. Because that's the only way they do latitude and longitude is they'll have a corporate address sitting right on top of it. I didn't even have to see the document to see that they did that, but I know them. I know how they work. And they'll put latitude and longitude in black ink. I know how they work. That's why they're easy to spot. But that comes from being tested the way you're being tested now. It is frustrating and sometimes scary. I was scared sometimes too, and many of the other Moors were too during the testing period. But if you stand and don't give in, you won't have a thing to worry about. They can't put their hands on you. Last week, I'm telling you, I told the Moors about this. There was an empress with me, you know, at this time where we walked right past. They pulled up in front of us, and we walked right on past the policy enforcers because they couldn't do anything, and we knew they couldn't if we didn't talk to them. And we walked right past them. Their question when they jumped out of their car, because it's not a conveyance, because it's not conveying nothing, no energy. It's a car which carries, you know, property. They jumped out and said, "Hey, I heard you two were trespassing on private property." All I did was turn to the empress I was with and say, "Don't say a word to them. Do not talk to them." And we just kept walking right on around, right past them. And his question was, "So you're not going to talk to us?" Okay. And then he went to go talk to somebody else and couldn't do a thing. And we were on foot walking on our land. They can't do anything. They can't do anything if we don't have contracts with them. And we stay not having contracts with them. We're never going to contract with them ever. And we can use the resources on our land. That's our stuff. All of it's ours. Buildings, conveyances, everything that they were fraudulently claiming that they did, you know, they produced, blah, blah, blah. Anything that they put a contract on. That's all.
Well, they seem to, they seem to keep coming Yeah, I guess I'm having my testing time right now
Yes,
because
yes, you are.
they send me they send a water bill to this address to and threatening and all this kind of stuff. But you know, I just ignore it. Yeah, that's not me. I'm
Again,
just gonna.
don't ignore it. Respond to it. Rebut it. And just you're
Yeah.
not any name in all capital letters, and no United States corporation company citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, nor assigns has personam jurisdiction over you. And the reason we say personam jurisdiction is that's the first one they have to get past. If they get past that one, then they can go into territorial and subject matter and all of that other stuff. But we know they can't get past personam jurisdiction. That's why we terminate presumed contract on us. We don't contract with them. That's it.
Right. Well, that's okay.
Stay
That's
right Stay right
Well,
there. They're not gonna mess with you. Just again on the public record, terminate all corporate contracts. And this is how I do it. When I do it,
yeah, I did that.
Okay, keep doing it. That's what we do. We keep doing it. Because, see, when they send things and you rebut whatever it is that they send, you want to terminate corporate contracts again just to be sure that there was nothing in the rebuttal that gave them any thoughts of whatever. That's why I would only send them the statement, you know. In response to anything they send, it would be that statement right there, in red, in all lowercase letters, saying I don't have any contract with the United States Corporation Company nor their agents, principals, heirs, assigns, etc., and any derivatives thereof. Keep doing that. Islam. Go ahead, Empress.
This is Portia from Michigama Territory. I've received something from the state treasury saying that I didn't file for taxes in 2017. So basically what I did was wrote in red in small letters, no contract. I sent that back, and I sent the terminate all contract statement back to him. And that's
Islam. Islam. That's it. Right there. That's it. That's it.
I just wrote no contract. That's it. 2 words. And then I spelled contract my way.
Yes, Empress.
I yield.
They cannot fight that. They cannot fight that. I've been there.
I do.
I've been there.
I do feel a lot more confident in my demonstration, and because I've been studying, and because I have the information to stand on. So I'm not worried about them. You know, and I said anybody that violate me and enter my property, they're in trouble. So
well, don't say that. Don't say if they do it, because that's consent. Don't say if they're not going to do it, and you give the command that no consent. You don't consent to any of that. See, when we say if they come in, we're going to do this and that and the other, then they're like, okay, let's go in and see, because he said we can come in, and he said he was going to do some things. You know, we have to watch what we say, and we're learning. Well,
yeah, because I mean, you're talking about many years of brainwashing.
Yes.
You know, many years of brainwashing. So some of the words are natural; they come out naturally.
Yes.
But I mean, and these words really come out when I'm like talking like this. But when I'm really responding to them, I know how to stand my ground, because I know they're looking for keywords. They want to hear keywords so that they can jump on it.
I would challenge you, and this is just a suggestion because we can't tell sovereigns what to do, but I would challenge you to, even in your most casual conversation, to make it so that your language matches your status. Because when you do that, then if you're nervous or something like that, your truth still comes forward because you're accustomed to speaking in that language and correcting in that language. You know, just a suggestion. Islam. We want it to be. We want who we are to be a reflex, to be something that just happens, just like You know, just like we reflectively, you know, as a reflex, we would say, good morning, you know, things like that. And it's like, no, I'm not mourning about anything. But reflexively, if someone said it, we said it back because we were programmed that way. But that's how you know we've been programmed, is because things are, and even in our casual conversation, we are enslaving ourselves. So we have to not do that, you know. And we're all learning. We're all getting there. We're all getting there, you know. High honors on your demonstrations thus far. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Very powerful. Very powerful. We're getting there. Moors, we're getting there. We're getting there for real. They cannot, they already know. They can't do anything with us, but let us, and there's not even them letting us do anything. In fact, they don't have the authority to let us do anything. We just do it. Are there any other questions, comments, demonstrations, etc.? Islam. Well, that is all of the sharing. Romans in all lowercase letters in red, and Berbers in all lowercase letters in red, and Babylonians and Greeks and Phoenicians and Moors in red in all lowercase letters. That's all we have for this sharing session. But we will meet again in, let's see, on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is 12 noon Eastern. And then again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday again at 6. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous heirs.
Peace and grand rising.
Peace and grand rising. Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Of a mix.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, Morris. Grand rising.
Peace and love, everybody.
I say to the heirs. I say to our ancestors.
Yes, I say.
Say to more. Grand rising.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Much love.